again. I am back and I'm super excited because pretty soon I am going on another mileage run, and this time it is going to Shanghai, China. This is only the second time I've ever been and the first time that I have needed a visa. Because just so you know, if you are an American holding a US passport, you do need a visa to enter mainland China. With a few little exceptions, one being in certain cities, if you are traveling onwards to or from a third country, such as Japan or Korea, you can stay for a certain number of days depending on the city. But if you are turning around and coming back to your point of origin, then you do need to apply for a visa. Visas for American applicants, if all goes well, can be 10 years. With multiple entries on that visa, and with each entry you can stay up to 60 days. So it is actually a very good visa to have in your passport, and even if you get a new passport, it still lasts. You just keep the old one. So I'm going to talk about kind of my experience in getting this visa, and hopefully save you hundreds of dollars on getting conned into using one of the visa services that will be advertised online. In order to start out, as much as you might think you need to do, and it's the right thing to do, you can Google Chinese visa application US or US passport holder, and it should bring you up a web page that looks like this. It gives you a few options. As we look through here, these top two are the official Chinese embassy pages. That's where we're going to end up. But I do want to point out that if you scroll down, you will see a few other things that look official, but they're not. Things like CBIT visas here, or Tourist Visa Service Center, visaguide.world. These are places who are very possibly legitimate. However, they are going to charge you somewhere on the order of up to $400, $500 plus the consular fees, which we'll talk about later, in order to do the same thing that you can very reasonably do yourself. As we'll discuss, it didn't really take that long to get my visa, especially given this is late summer, early fall of 2023, just to kind of date it, and I was applying in Los Angeles. So it only took about 6 days from the time that I applied until the time that I had my visa in hand. So I didn't really see a reason to use any expedited services or anything like that. Anyhow, so if you go to one of these links up here, these are the official ones, it's going to bring you up this one. Okay, so it looks pretty simple, but it is what it says it is. This is the page for your COVA, your China online visa application. This is the meat and potatoes of what you're going to be filling out, but let's start with kind of the full list of things that you're going to need. This will be on that same page that you click through, and these are the requirements and procedures, the required documents basically. What I was applying for is this first one here. This is an L visa. We see it over here on the left side. Which is what I applied for and what I'm going to focus on here. This is the tourist visa. So you can see, kind of read over, it's kind of awkward formatting here. It doesn't look too official, but trust me, it is. Column A, basic documents. First things first, you need to already basically have your trip planned. First thing, round trip, air tickets, and hotel orders. When you go to the embassy to get your paperwork, you need to have a round trip plane ticket and a reservation at a hotel that matches that time frame, and it needs to have your name on it. You're going to need to bring the actual receipt printout that has the dates and the times and shows that it is done for you. Now, that said, plans do change. I can envision a scenario where you change hotels, or you change dates, or even you change plane tickets before this first trip. Also remembering this visa is good for 10 years. But at least for this first time, when you show up there, you need to have booked, paid for, legitimate travel plans. So it's that, or the second thing, you can see there's an or here, invitation letters by relevant entity. I'm not an expert here, but there are instructions for having, this could be probably an employer or someone you're traveling for business to see, who will put together a letter for you if you don't have specific travel plans. But I'm not going to talk about that or be an expert on that in any means, because I did not do that for this trip, because I do have travel plans. So then we go over to B, general documents. So regardless of which way in column A you're going to be getting your visa, you need all of these things for the L visa no matter what. Number 1, your valid passport. Remaining validity we see for 6 months at least, and 2 blank pages. 2 blank pages is important because this visa you're getting is going to take up an entire full page all to itself. So just keep that in mind if you're low on pages, and it's going to be there for the life of the passport. If you have an old visa or something, you need to bring that too. Number 2, a photo page of the bio page of your passport. So that first page of your passport that has all of your information on it, you need a separate photocopy of that. Number 3, the COVA visa form. That's what we're going to get into. That is most of the work that's going to need to be done. And you can see there's your link to that form online that we'll look at. Also, let's see, if you had a Chinese residence permit, that proof of residence. This means if you have a driver's license in the U.S., you can also use bank account information with your address on it, a utility bill, things like that, something that shows that you live where you do in the U.S. Number 6 is a little bit awkwardly stated, but it is the easiest form yet, where you stay form, and we'll look at that in a minute. The important thing here is that you must handwrite it and sign it. These other things, if you don't have a permanent residency in the U.S., Chinese nationality, all these other things, again, I'm not going to be an expert on because these were not things that I was required to do. Name change information, and etc. But those basic things for the average American applying for a tourist visa: passport with 6 months and 2 pages, photocopy of the bio page, this COVA visa form, proof of residence, where you stay form, and then your travel information is what we're going to need to put this together. It sounds like a lot, but in the end, I got it done in about a day. All right, so once we've got that together, we know what we're looking for, we can move on. So, like I said, this is the cover page for the Chinese online visa application. From here, make sure you've got your language, and then click where you're going to be applying. North America, and for me, Los Angeles. And then that will bring you to the actual visa application. This is the cover page that it will show. You get this long ID number. This is important. I would suggest you go ahead and print the application ID, because if you leave it and come back to it, get more information, you need to sign back in to keep working on it. Now, because I've done this a couple of weeks ago, I'm not going to go through and obviously fill out my own information. You can see on the sidebar here, it's a standard visa application. You're going to need to put in your current address, what type of visa you're going for, work information, that kind of thing. Everybody in your family, spouse, children, emergency contacts. A couple of things that did trip me up. We'll talk about the photo requirement. That was probably the hardest thing. Like I said earlier, these visas are for, as a standard issue visa, 10 years. It gives you an option to say how long you want the visa for. I didn't really know at that point what I was supposed to be asking for, because it asked for a number of months. And 10 years seems like a lot of months. I just put in like 6 months, just kind of wondering what I would get. And when I went there, they overrode that and they just gave me the standard 10-year, which was obviously much, much better. They do ask for your travel information for the trip that you're about to go on. That page was a little complicated. You ended up kind of duplicating your answers, but it worked out just fine. So I do want to talk about the photo requirements. This is a situation where you don't need to go out and have your photo taken at, a FedEx location or something. It's actually easier to do this digitally. So they do have very specific photo requirements. And I would suggest, and the thing that worked best for me was to take a photo myself and run it through like a Photoshop sort of program or another photo editing program to make sure that I had the dimensions correct. And there are very specific requirements in here that will help you with that. And the other key thing is when they say it needs to be on a white background, they mean it. It needs to be on like pretty well a blank white background. That's also something, if you don't have easily available to yourself, you can do that through the photo editing. But in the end, a couple of tries and I managed to get it uploaded. And then I didn't need to take an extra copy with me. They just had it in the system. So you fill this out, and then the next thing is you need to make a reservation to actually go in, drop off your paperwork, and apply for the visa. One thing that I found confusing was in order to make your appointment, you think you just need this application ID, but that's incorrect. You actually need to have filled out this entire application before this ID will allow you to make an appointment. So just prepare for that. You can't like reserve your appointment while you fill out the form. At least for me, like I said, in the late summer, early fall of 2023, they had appointments available within like 3 days at the Los Angeles location. So it didn't really slow me down. And they were very fast in turning things around. So the other things that you need once you get this big form filled out, then you can follow the link to appointment for the visa application. This is literally just a calendar schedule. For Los Angeles, they had like 9:30 to 1:30 p.m. most weekdays, and then your visa is ready for pickup 6 days later. It was pretty easy. I mean, speaking just for Los Angeles, street parking only. The address was not quite right, but it was on the same block and it was pretty straightforward. The other things that you need, let's kind of go through here. We've already talked about this. This is where you'll find the where you stay form. Where you stay form, one of the simplest things I've ever seen. I'm still not quite sure the purpose of it. You just need to fill this out. There's links for it on that main page. Yes, I'm currently in the US. Here's where I am, and you sign your name and you date it. Very simple. The thing that they're looking for at the appointment is just, like I said, like everything matches. So your plane reservation obviously is going to be in your name no matter what, but your hotel also needs to be in your name. It can't be in like a corporate name or under somebody else's account. They want to make sure that everything is matching. So once you get all of this done, then the next thing up is to head on to your actual consulate or embassy to do the submission. So that's what I did. And 6 days later, I had my visa and I am ready to go to Shanghai, and I can head on back anytime in the next 10 years. So I am super excited. And I've got about a week left until I go. Anyways, the visa is, like I said, 10 years and it costs $185. They do take credit cards, and I don't recall if they took American Express, but they do take Visa and MasterCard. It was very quick. You pay at the time that you pick up, so just be prepared for that. And yeah, hopefully this helped somewhat and can save you from going to one of those visa companies who are going to charge you hundreds of dollars to do the thing that you can do pretty easily yourself. So travel well, good luck, and let's go.